I love to be able to chat with moms in business so that we can just kind of get a glimpse on the behind the scenes. So I am Mo Spell. I'm a covenant coach that pairs neuroscience and scripture, and I help moms in business and ministry build healthy businesses and home. And today I am chatting with the lovely Beka Steele. So Beka, introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Mo. Excited to chat with you and hopefully be a blessing to a couple of mamas as well. So I am Beka Steele. I am a financial coach. And so my job is just to give clarity and confidence with your money. I'm able to do that by giving you a simple plan that works for your money. I don't believe in a one size fits all. I think it's much more personal than that. And so really excited to be here and hopefully be a blessing to a couple of mamas.
I love that. I love that you said clarity and confidence. It's not like you said, I'm going to tell you to do this, this, and this. So, like, why do you feel like that is the main piece that a mom needs to grasp with finances?
Yeah. I think historically, especially if you go back just a few generations, men have typically handled the finances. Actually, a big motivation for me to start this business was I married an accountant. My husband's an accountant. My grandpa used to be an accountant before he passed away. My grandma and I always joke that, oh, the men will handle the money for us. We married accountants. And obviously, we don't know God's plan in life. My grandpa passed very unexpectedly. And my grandma, I mean, she couldn't even balance a checkbook, was just completely lost. Thankfully, I wasn't that bad with my money, but I honestly probably wasn't that far from her.
Yeah.
And so it's just a big wake up call for me that I need to understand money, that it is a partnership in our marriage, not he does this and I do that. And then that just grew and grew, that I have such a passion to help women understand money. And listen, you don't need to understand everything there is to. If you have a husband that is a financial nerd, God bless him. We are thankful for that. You don't need to be that. But I do think it's important that you've got confidence around your money and clarity on the goals that you are working towards. And that's something you guys do together.
So I think that is like a key part, the clarity and the confidence. And I'll have moms come to me all the time, but I'm not confident enough to do this. And what would you say to a mom who's saying that I don't have confidence to step into this?
I would say probably you don't have confidence because you've been trying to do it the way that your husband does it. And I think God has given us all different capabilities and different gifts. And you shouldn't try to be your husband any more than your husband shouldn't try to be you. And I think I'm able to give them confidence by speaking their language. I think women talk money differently. It's crazy. There's a statistic that 78% of women will change financial advisors within a year of their husband passing. I'm like, listen, if we don't like them, let's not wait to change to them, right? You need to find someone that talks to you, not to your husband, that helps you understand money.
Mm-hmm. And then going back just a little further. So you shared a little bit about how like you actually have like this family legacy of accountants and understanding money. But there had to have been a personal pain point where you really felt the sting of whether some financial hardship impact that led you to this point where I don't want to be this uncomfortable anymore. Was there something that happened in the past that you can share about?
Absolutely. I tease all the time that God gave me an incredible before and after in my money stories so that I could have a lot of empathy for clients walking through that. My husband and I, we got married, bought a house, graduated from college, had 6 figures in student loan debt, and very, very quickly found ourselves with $25,000 of credit card debt as well. I don't know how that happened. I will tell you, getting out of it was probably not as fun as getting into it was.
Right.
But I just remember, I mean, we were in our young 20s thinking there has got to be more to life than this. Falling asleep at night, just that heaviness, like, are we ever going to get out of this mess? Like, are we ever going to feel like we're ahead in our money? And so I just realized, like, no one's going to figure this out for us. And so really just a sign that we we're going to put together a plan. It was actually my parents that had connected us to a financial coach, and me just taking ownership of, I can't just sit around and say, well, it's my husband's responsibility or he's going to figure it out. It was us working together as a team that made the difference.
And you said a key word. You said ownership. And I think that is the first place when we are ready to grow. We have to have that place that piece in place first, because, we can say, well, I don't have confidence. I don't understand money. My husband takes care of that. I don't need to worry about that. I have the kids, I have my whatever to worry about that. But until we take ownership, that means that we are willing to take we'll do what it takes to move forward. So that's so key right there. Ownership. You took ownership. That I can't blame my husband for the mess that we're in. It's a joint thing. I had a role in it. He had a role in it, and I'm going to take ownership of what I have in a part of this.
Yeah,
So,
and I think in any area of life, when you don't take ownership, you are letting go of your ability to change it.
yes, yes, and it's staying as that victim mentality. Like
100%.
it's happening to me instead
Mhm.
of how is this happening for me? That's a subtle shift in thinking. Like, okay, here I am. Here's the facts. We're in debt. Okay, I don't have to add the shame and guilt on top of that. I could choose to, but what's it doing for me, right? Because how many of moms, you could probably leave a one or two, like leave a one in the comments below if you've ever been stressed out about finances. Just leave a one down there. And what would it feel to have that weight taken off? Like, what would you do? What would it take for you to have that weight? And so, Beka, you had that money story where, goodness, we were in debt, and then you got on the other side of it. And now, what is that allowing you to do?
Yeah. And so here, let me just give that mama some hope that maybe like I am a one a couple of times over. Because when we first worked with a financial coach, like they gave us a plan that I understood for the first time, but we didn't wake up the next day out of debt.
Yes.
Right? What I will say is for the first time in my life, I had hope that we could get out of debt. Right? That I knew the steps to take. It felt realistic to me. It wasn't a live on peanut butter and jelly, never go have fun again type plan. And they gave us a plan, said, hey, we think you can be completely debt free in 6 years, which I thought was unbelievable. We actually ended up doing it in less than 2 years, because when I started putting the plan in place, man, I created personal momentum. I was working from belief that I can figure this out, not feeling stuck and I don't know how to figure this out.
Yes, a place of hope versus this is never going to happen. And I think what you kind of experienced there was, your brain was in overwhelm before with the vastness, the heaviness of being in debt, right? And so your brain makes it seem like it's bazillion steps that you're going to have to accomplish, and then it's impossible. But once you got a plan written down, it was like, wait, it's not that much. I just have to be, and I think you've used this word, I've seen it in your posts, consistent.
Yes.
Right? So tell me the difference where you were talking about perfection versus consistency.
Yes, I actually just made a post the other day. It says so many people, when they see people winning with their money, they think they must be perfect with their money. They must not struggle like I do. And the reality is, people that win with their money are just consistent. They aren't perfect. I think perfection keeps us from ever starting. It's almost like a crutch. Well, when the time is right, when the stars align, when the kids aren't in sports, then I'll get started. But just saying, hey, what can I start right now? And consistently ask yourself that question. And in 10 years, we've paid off over $100,000 of debt. We've saved and built our house. Just really cool what we've been able to do. Not because we ever did anything crazy. We just did something consistently.
Yes. And I love that, because there's freedom in consistency versus perfection. Perfection, like you said, is a crutch, but it's also it's also a trap. So we think that it's like a crutch helping us along because we're trying to be excellent, but excellence and perfection are totally different.
Yes.
And perfection is us trying to control the outcome by not messing up.
So good.
Yeah. So consistency. And I love that, because even if you're a mom here and you're like, well, I'm kind of relating to this financial stuff, how you show up in one area in your life is how you show up in every area of your life. So I can guarantee that when Beka said what she said about perfection, if you struggle with that, it's showing up not only in your finances, it's showing up in your parenting, it's showing up in your business, it's showing up everywhere. And what would it be to just let go of that and be like, I can just be consistent.
Yep.
Huge. That's a huge shift. I'm so glad that you pointed that out. On the other side, so you now have a business where you are helping women, couples, families move forward with their finances, get to a healthy place with their finances. How are you and your husband, how are you managing? I hate the word balance because I have a whole view of balance, but I'm just going to use it because that's what we use.
Sure.
Balance. How do you balance being a mom and doing your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it starts with a lot of grace that things are going to look differently than before we had kids. And that's okay. My jean size also looks different.
Yes.
So I think knowing it's going to look different, but different isn't bad. There can be
Right.
growth in there. But then I think it's important to understand what is the best ROI of my time. Like,
Yes.
I don't need to do everything in my business. I need to do what Beka does best, right? I can't have my assistant jump on here and do this call with me, right? They want to hear from me, but there's so many things she's doing for me right now that frees up the space that I do this well. And
Yes.
I would tell moms in business, 95% of the work we do is avoiding or busy work from the work we really need to do.
Oh, that is so key. Moms, if you didn't like rewind that or type that in so you can make it a quote, that is huge. A lot of times we avoid the actual work we need to do and we fill it up with busy stuff like creating Canva graphics or creating a course instead of having the conversations, right? And so for you, it was figuring out your best ROI, return on investment of your time. And I like to tell moms, it's like figuring out what your priorities are, your priorities for business and your priorities for family. And then those become your filter.
Yes.
That's how you filter some of these decisions from. I love that. And how old is your little one?
Sloan is 1.5, which I cannot believe.
1.5. And I like that you said that you like as a mom of a 1.5-year-old, and you've been doing this business since she was born, correct?
I've been doing it for 8 years, so way
Yeah,
before she
so
was
before
born.
she was born. So you had that whole season of newborn and taking care, and you use the word like the season. It's a different season. Like my kids, my youngest is 9. My mom's season is different than Becca's.
Yes.
My kids still need me, but they need me in a different way. And so it's taking those expectations off again of what your season should look like and how you should, quote, should. I always say, if you see a should, ask yourself, why should I? Or quit shitting on yourself. Like, how did you struggle with any of that? Like between like how I should be showing up here more, or just the fatigue or whatever, when a newborn isn't sleeping, how are you handling and managing that?
Yes. And I think it's interesting. The same philosophy I'm going to tell you with business is what I teach clients with money is you can do anything, but you cannot do everything.
Yes.
Right. You can say, hey, it's really important to me that my kids go on vacation and we can save and go for a vacation. But maybe that means we're going to go out to eat a little bit less because what your money shows you where your priority is. And I would say in business, your time shows you where your priorities are. And you can do anything, but you can't do everything. You can't be a stay-at-home mom 24/7 and do the dishes and the cleaning and the cooking and every single bedtime and run a super successful business. And so a philosophy, I can't remember who to give this credit to, but I learned is that as a mom running a business, you have to decide which balls will bounce and which balls will shatter.
Right.
My kids don't care if I'm the one that loads the dishwasher. My husband is great at that. God bless him. Right.
Yes.
But me saying, hey, I'm going to spend quality time with my daughter for 15 minutes in the morning before I work so she knows she's a priority does matter to me. And we just have to decide what ball will bounce and what ball will shatter.
Yes. And that is so good. And to the moms who are freaking out about the balls shattering, because I know there's a couple of you that are like, I can't let the ball shatter. You were supposed to say it was supposed to bounce so I could go pick it up later. No, there are some things that, you know what? you never had to pick up in the first place. You might be operating from a should of, I should be, if a good mom should do this, a good businesswoman should do this. Like any of the shoulds, just say, why should I? Why should I? Why is that expectation there? I love that analogy. And it's the letting go.
Yep. My business coach taught me something that was so simple but so profound. She said, Becca, mom guilt is an optional belief. You don't have to have mom guilt.
Right. It is an optional belief because it can be both and we put the guilt on, and how's it serving us?
No.
It's not making us a better mom.
No.
Right?
Yes.
No, it is not having our kids love us more. In fact, when your kids are older and they see that you have mom guilt, it's like a turnoff. They're like, I don't need the mommy martyr syndrome here, mom. Right? So good. So good. So going forward, like, how would you encourage a woman who is, they're like, okay, I see where we're at. I've been hesitant to know my finances, just because I feel like I might be stepping into my husband's territory. Like, well, how would you encourage her to have this, to get started with like the next step?
Mm-hmm. And so I think it is so fun as couples to dream together, to want more together. That could be like, hey, I'm going to do a budget plan with you, and we're going to dream about how we're going to budget in the future, talking about vacations, paying off debt, saving for retirement. Like, dream about the outcome, and then you're willing to put in the work. And I would bet almost every husband, if a wife came to them and said, hey, I want to do better financially, I want to do this together, can we sit down and talk with this? A husband would love that, right? A husband, like, I believe spouses are helpmates. We want to do life together. And I think just sitting down and having the conversation is an important start. My advice is, though, so many times we romanticize what that looks like. We think of, oh, Hollywood, it's going to be so great, and we're going to dream together, and I'm going to put on a cute binder, and he's going to tell me this is so great, and we'll walk off into the sunset together. And you can get there, but that's not going to be the first interaction that you have, right? It's just like, if I'm like, tell my husband, like, hey, I'd love for you to help me with the dishwasher. I can't say it once and magically hope that he's going to remember to do the dishwasher. We have to have multiple conversations, and eventually that will become a natural rhythm of our life. But it is unfair for me to expect him that we'll have one conversation and that changes our lives. The same thing is true with your finances. You can't have one conversation and it be life changing. I think multiple conversations, especially if you can have a third party that is unemotionally involved. A lot of times what I'm telling clients is like, listen, like, we can't, like, it doesn't serve us to feel guilt or shame for past decisions. Exactly what you said, what I should have done or could have done. And so a big part of what I do is help clients. I help facilitate that conversation, but from a place of grace and love, and saying, hey, how can we learn from the past and get better in the future, and not build more shame and guilt around that?
Yes, that is so good. And you're talking about it's continued conversations, and like realizing, should I put that expectation on him? No. Like, what did I even realize I was putting that expectation on him, or even that expectation on me? I feel like we could talk money, and just like there's even more layers. Like, what's your own? We all have our own stories about money that we tell ourselves, which limit, like, that becomes a filter on how we even go forward with money. And just like recognizing, what was our experience with money? What were we told with money? What do we believe about money? All plays in to this whole, how do we deal with our money now? So as a last encouragement, what would you say?
I would tell you to start where you are. So many times we beat ourselves up so much from where we could have been or what we should have done if we'd started a year ago or 6 months ago. And I would tell you, most people, honestly, we overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we drastically underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years. And so I would tell you, whether it's business goals or financial goals, the next 5 years are going to pass in a blink of an eye. Yes. But we can put simple steps in place now to help the next 5 years be the best 5 years. but it's not going to happen with perfectionism. It's not going to happen with procrastination. It's going to happen with consistency, and you can start being consistent today.
Ooh, so good. I know that you have a Facebook group. What is
I
that?
do. Yep. You can find me on Facebook at Smart Money Smart Mama. I also hang out a lot on Instagram at Beka Steele is my handle.
Awesome. And I'll make sure I link all that below. Leave a comment if you watch the replay. Let us know, because we'll go back and read and listen. If you have a money story, a money question, like where do I start? Leave it below. We'd love to hear. Thank you once again for joining me, Beka. I'm so glad we had this conversation. And I look forward to everyone around virtually. I hope that this blesses you. Let us know, leave a comment below, and we'll be talking to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Mo. Bye, ladies.